Hello and welcome back to GamerSpeak. You're with Kai today. A very upset Kai because of the verdict that has been reached for Sean Combs not being found guilty on some of the more major charges that he was sentenced to, and yeah, all this was about. So I want to talk about it because I've been paying very close attention to this trial and updates on it, and going through the documents of it and reading what's actually being said, and I am just blown away. I did not think that this was going to happen. I'm not a lawyer, I'm not an attorney. If I did clickbait you with Hassan in my thumbnail, it's because my co-host, my lovely husband Steph, said, wouldn't it be funny if you made this title like Hassan was right, because this country's effing doomed. We're all doomed if we're gonna let someone like this walk. And there is some merit to that, because this is outrageous and disgusting. I think the most damning evidence is, for me, again, I'm not an attorney, but we've seen the Cassie Ventura footage from the hotel in New York that happened in like 2016. We know that it's beyond the statute of limitations for anyone to pursue charges on it for. But the thing that makes me so upset about that is I don't think the legal system is right here. I don't think the legal system is correct. We have physical footage of someone beating up someone else. He intentionally paid off the security guy at that hotel to hide that footage for years. And you're telling me that since it just got released last year and is past the statute of limitations, we can't do anything about it? So you're teaching people that as long as they cover up their crimes and pay them off and they go hush hush for years past the limitations, then it's okay. And that is so wrong to me. That just infuriates me. Another thing that really got me with the defense, his defense team, was I was expecting these lawyers to give some really good defenses, some really like legal jargon, high stuff. No, it was like watching a drama. It was like watching, I haven't seen like a K-pop drama, but what I assume like a K-pop drama or like a All My Children drama. Like they would cross-examine a witness, a victim of his, whether it was Jane, whether it was Cassie, whether it was another woman who he abused, and they say, but you got a Bottega bag out of this, right? But you got nice shoes out of this, right? And like it's like literally their defense team was just like treating the jurors like they're meat with eyes and trying to just plant thoughts into their ideas. They were speaking out of term, so much so that the judge had to tell them to knock it off. Diddy apparently wouldn't stop like gesticulating and moving around and making too much gestures. He's not allowed to do that. The judge called him out for it. The judge said he needs to stop it, and it sounds like he really didn't stop. So that's frustrating. And he's love bombing the jurors. He's love bombing the judge when he got up to stand on the last day of the trial. When they're supposed to start their part of the defense, they can call their witnesses. Guess what? No one showed up. The witness or their side of things lasted all of 10 minutes. I don't know how long actually was that closing arguments. I think I heard was even just 10 minutes. And he decided not to stand trial for himself as a witness. They didn't call anyone up to the stand for him. He didn't have anybody to go up there and speak about his character. They ended their case 10 minutes after the prosecutors rested. I know that unreasonable doubt for these things is like a really high bar. I heard Cassie Ventura's like just comment on from this video that's on in the background. But at the same time, the thing that gets me the most, again, like concrete feelings that he is doing all of these things that people are saying, is the pattern of behavior from Diddy. This is the guy I'm talking about. This is Cassie Ventura's lawyer, and he had to say, he's just giving like fluff, but basically, if we have a pattern of behavior across dozens of witnesses, and mind you, he has some like, what was it, a few dozen or more civil lawsuits waiting to be filed against him right now. So he's not even done with the legal system right now. He just might get to walk away from this federal one. But still, we've seen a pattern of behavior that from people around him for decades, who the second he doesn't get something he wants the way he wants it, he is prone to explode. He is prone to throwing things and hitting people and hurting people over the tiniest shit. Like, this is an example that will always stick with me. It was one of his ex, like, I don't know if you want to call it bodyguard or like assistant or whatever, but he said within the first week or two of working for Diddy was randomly like, I want a gallon of this type of water from Whole Foods. And the guy went to Whole Foods and they didn't have it. So he brought 2 half gallons of the same brand of water, and Diddy allegedly blew up on him. And I have to say allegedly, because you never know. Of course, witnesses can make up stuff just to get money from a celebrity. Of course, witnesses can get influenced by other witnesses saying these things publicly, but to me, it's just been a pattern of behavior we've seen from him. Like when allegedly Cassie was making them eggs one morning and she wasn't doing it, I don't know, fast enough or correct enough. He took the frying pan and tried to hit her with it, and she just fell. She just fell to the floor. I'm gonna put on some back. Hold on. She allegedly dropped to the floor to protect herself, so I don't think she actually got hit by the frying pan, and the defense, believe me when I say that they really reiterated on this fact. And again, when you have meat with eyes, jurors who are just falling asleep most of these days through all this tedious testimony, you have his defense lawyer get up there and say, but she didn't actually get hit, right? And that makes their ears perk up because it's drama, because he's wording it in simple enough terms and they're only sticking to things that are just barely true. But when you watch the footage of Cassie being beat up by this effing potato head loser, and please guys, if you're watching this, can you please like protect us, because I am scared talking out against this man. I am terrified. But anyway, you watch the footage of this and she does the same thing. What does she do? She cripples and falls to the ground. That is a pattern of behavior that we can see that she is used to getting beat up. She knows what to do when he's like this to try and just reduce probably the amount of damage as much as possible. And yeah, there you have it. I don't know. And we saw this from multiple testimonies, even women that he didn't abuse, but women who were near, and women who are across the globe right now who have nothing to gain from speaking out against this have said several things that are similar in line with all of this. Heck, there's even a really great documentary on this, on him, and witnesses that I don't think showed up at the trial, saying again the same things and showing this crazy pattern of behavior. Another damning piece of evidence to me, because this was a huge point for the prosecutors to try to point out that the racketeering was legitimate. And this is what, if you don't know, I'll do a quick summary of racketeering is. They're trying to prove that he has enough like power and money and influence to have like basically his own criminal enterprise. He wants drugs, they go out and get him. They cross state lines to get it. They go get him guns. They scratch off the serial numbers. He wants prostitutes. He wants 1,000 bottles of baby oil and Astroglide. He gets it. And that's what the prosecutors were trying to prove. And they did. There were several times that there were ways that they could physically prove that he was crossing prostitutes across, he was moving prostitutes across borders to meet him where he was at to have these freak-offs. And then another pattern of behavior that gets to me is that multiple of the women who were put into these freak-offs, you know, they said the same thing, that it would be their birthday, or they would have just gotten like back together, or like something, monumental, right? Like something like that they didn't want to do the freak off. And he would allegedly tell them all day, no, we're not going to do that. I promise. Well, I'll take you to Cabo. I'll take you to blah, blah, blah. We'll go do this. He would say whatever he wanted, but ultimately that night they would end up having a freak off, and the girls would be so high out of their minds and know that they can't say no to him. And it would just happen because so the defense would focus on this too, because sometimes Cassie and other women would set up a freak off for him. But you know how bitches be. I'm sorry, but there's a lot of bitches out there who are like, I'm a freak in bed. I'm so cool, and like you want me around, and like, yeah, some of them probably do want the big rich life, and they will do things like that, and they probably were okay with it for a session or two. But to me, the thing that makes this all not okay is that he was doing it so often with them that they were not only suffering health issues from it, but he wouldn't listen to them when they didn't want to do this, allegedly. There's even proof, pictures of some of these girls sending him pictures of their menstrual stuff, if you know what I mean, to show like, oh, I can't do a freak off tonight because I'm on my time of the month, like I can't do it. And he would be like, so what? And they would do it anyway. This is a pattern of behavior that's dangerous. That's proving to me that the racketeering and the sex trafficking, because he is forcing these women to do something that they don't want to do. And the defense would get up and say, but you did end up doing it, right? And you even scheduled it a few times, right? And it's like, yeah, because they know that any other response from him would be an explosion. They'd get beat up, and worse, he's gone out and tried to kill people. Like, I'm blown away. I'm upset. This is not all right. If you want me to dig deeper in this, I can go back and listen to all the stuff I listened to and like try to prove it point by point. But honestly, it's just, I did not think, and to me, the jury must just be afraid of him with all the love bombing, with him looking at their faces. And then there was one, I'm not even going to say who this was because I'm scared for her well-being, but there was one YouTuber there most of the time in the press trials. And it's just a quick side note, he allegedly ignored the press trials or the press pews like the most. All the love bombing didn't apply there because he knows that people aren't there for him. They're there for whatever need fits them the best, right? And a lot of them probably think he is guilty. So anyway, this YouTuber who was in the press pews said that he would turn around and like look at her and mouth the words like, I know you, I know you, I know who you are. And then even stranger, and you can like shrug that off, and she kind of did too. She was like, you know what, I don't really know, I was far away, but you know, she alleged that a really like well-known reporter was sitting near her and said, you saw that, right? You're going to put that in your video, right? Because he just did that to you. And, you know, she was gracious. She said, maybe not. I'm not really sure. But then she also backed up that this weird stuff started to happen to them when her and her team were in line for the trial outside. And according to her, like people were buying people to hold places in line because the line would start forming the day before. So they'd be in court in the press pews. The line would start filling up. They had to pay people. A lot of people did this to hold their place in line so that they could get in for the next day. And so she said some weird stuff started happening around then too, where these people kept coming up to them and saying, oh, I know who you are. And she said it was always immediately like, what hotel are you staying at? You know, like what places are good to stay at here at? It wasn't like, you know, they would try to say, I think, oh, I like your channel, but then they wouldn't talk to her about her channel at all or seem to have any kind of knowledge on it. They would just keep asking them where they were staying and trying to follow them. And thank freaking heck that, you know, they didn't give in to this. They protected where they were staying. And I think she said they even took like multiple Ubers just to, like in case they were being tailed. And I swear to God, if anything happens to her, I'm going to be so upset because this man does seem like someone who will go and shut anyone down. He seems like a big baby who, when he doesn't get his way, he just throws money and guns and whatever at it. So to wrap things up here, because I know I've been talking for some 13, 14 minutes, but I think that even if a woman is like, yeah, I'm down, I'm cool with this, I'm gonna help arrange this for you because I love you, you know, love bombing is a thing. Perfect victims are not a thing. And when you get love bombed and manipulated by people, they will make you do things that you don't even think you could do. Whether you really are blinded by love or you're just scared for your own safety and well-being, you will find yourself doing lots of things. So, and I think that's why he's had so few of these women actually do freak offs over and over again. The ones, we don't have like a number of them who kept coming forward. It seemed to be like the same ones over and over again. And they said these freak offs would last for days at a time. And sure, there could be some women out there who are fine with it and maybe even like that kind of thing. I don't know. But when you make someone do it over and over again by drugging them and blowing up the second that they say no or the second that they don't want to do something, how can you possibly victim blame? How can you sit there and be like, well, you got a Bottega bag out of it, right? Well, you wrote this nice thing about him on social media, right? Yeah, because they're embarrassed. They don't want to tell anybody. I swear to God, there was even one time where one of the defense attorneys cross-examining one of these women said, like, it was something along the lines of like, but you took part in the sex act, right? And it's like, oh, yeah, you want, duh, like, weren't you listening? She said she was abused. She said she's being taken advantage of. She said that this is happening to her, whether she wants it or not. But they're putting the spin on it like as if she is choosing to do it. And no one is considering how a victim feels in that circumstance. When you have someone who's very powerful. And I don't know, like I'm so upset. I feel like the justice system has failed. We're still waiting on the judge to give his final ruling on this. Apparently sentencing could take a few more months, which I don't know why. Can a lawyer or something explain to me why? Because we just sat through like 8 weeks of trial. And if the judge has to do an alternate like sentencing, why does it take that long? I don't know. Like he was there for it. And Judge Arun, he was great. He seemed to really not go for any BS. And it seemed like he wants to nail Diddy to the floor. Like, I'm not even kidding. What do you think about this? You know, please I could say, please protect me, but you know, who knows? I don't know. All I know is I just want to speak out against this because this is crazy. It should not be happening. This man should not, if what everyone is saying is true about him, this shouldn't be allowed to happen. I'm like speechless now. I'm like shocked. I'm like shell shocked. You're just showing that people with the right amount of power and money and influence can do whatever they want. And that is a terrifying thing. All right, I'm going to wrap it up there. Let me know your thoughts on it and good luck on your RNG. Sorry there was little gamer speak in this video. I just had to vent this all out because I am frustrated and I want to be another voice speaking out against this BS. So see you next time. Bye-bye.